Let's go!
So we made a video, talked about something not that long ago, which was the fact that one of the weirdo guest characters in City of the Wolves was actually executed rather well. That Ganachi himself, as much as I don't have a tracksuit yet, just to verify. I feel like a lot of people are looking at that video and not watching it, so we have to make a follow-up. We have to bring it around the bend because there's a lot of advertisement around City of the Wolves around their quote-unquote guest characters. There's a whole bunch of information popping up. I'm not gonna I don't know if I want to post Steam charts. I want to do whatever I possibly can in my nebulous being to not post a Steam chart of active players for a game. I want to avoid that at all costs. However, DJ Fettuccini is done very well, and he's super fun. And it's like, damn. Does that mean that we got to bring in Dimitri Vegas has to come back? Does that mean that you know, young Sheldon is going to be the next guest character for Tekken? No. Just because one thing was done very well and is worthy of praise does not justify the existence of more of those things to become real in the future, right? Those are completely two different ideologies, right? That can exist, coincide. Yeah, we can have a guest character that was a quote-unquote real-lifer in a fighting game, and its execution was good. And it sort of turned around the majority of the fighting game community in that, oh, this is actually really cool, damn. Well, maybe we were too harsh on the guy, and then we investigate it and learn more, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, this is actually really cool. But does it excuse the idea and concept of this just happening from this point forward? And I don't think I want to revisit that. I have to propose this to you. A lot of money was put into this game for its marketing, and obviously the inclusion of one of the world's biggest sports stars and a crazy wacky DJ, and it gives me deep satisfaction. It gives me deep guttural satisfaction that it seems like everybody likes the wacky DJ that nobody's ever heard of before over the worldwide acclaimed who gives a shit soccer guy. Like that gives me deep satisfaction. I'm like, oh man, it feels like there's some sort of like internet poetic justice happening there. So in that way, that was like, that does a lot for me. But does this open the door of a real lifer future in fighting games? Number one, the verdict isn't out yet. Does this have a substantial impact? It's not looking great at the moment. Just all things considered, just based on some metrics and how things are sort of going in the first week, it is not looking great already. If the idea was just to pull in an audience that exists in the world, and we're going to shift that audience into something that is completely unique and different, which is a hardcore ass SNK fighting game, and just adopt them over because these faces are here and these faces in association will bring their audiences in. We are in the process of seeing if that works or not, but it ain't looking super good so far. I only bring this up because I am still under a substantial belief that, of course, I think one of the executions of a real lifer in a fighting game, quote unquote real lifer, is fun, and they did pretty good. But does this mean that this should be the future for us? It doesn't. I'm going to pull up an article and something that SNK has said directly to sort of like hope that whatever happens with Fatal Fury and all of the money that's going into it and a ridiculous amount of marketing and a ridiculous amount of love, care, and attention and effort from the developers, I want there to be SNK games in the future, right? I want there to be more games in the future. I think we need to look at this stuff and realize that maybe this isn't the route. Quoting something specifically. During my interview with Oda-san, I asked him to choose his ideal guest fighters for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, to which his translator instantly replied, "You don't want to know." Oda-san then rattled off a list of famous names that he'd clearly been thinking about for a long time. Michael Jackson, Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, everyone is so cool. Hollywood, period. Jackie Chan, the cast of Expendables, the entire Expendables crew. He said before reiterating, and also Michael Jackson. Can we not? Just throwing it out there. some of those people on that list, many of us grew up with. Sure. I am not belittling the individual quality of any of these individual real-lifers. My problem is that they are real-lifers, and they're not characters they play. Mortal Kombat and Fortnite, to a certain degree, have found like an interesting way around this. I think Mortal Kombat has actually found, maybe as we realize it as time has gone on, a more elegant solution to this. Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger are in Mortal Kombat multiple times. They're Rambo, the Terminator, and Conan. They look exactly like their real-life individual selves did when those movies came out. So to me, that is a much more palatable idea. I'm not playing Arnold. I'm playing Conan, you know, with a lot of Arnoldisms. I'm not playing just Sylvester Stallone and his likeness and sound, which it is there. We're playing a character that Sylvester Stallone also portrayed. We're playing characters. We're playing fictional characters here. And as much as the visual iconography and Shimon and all of this shit would be incredibly cool, of course, like, what version MJ are you putting into the game? Everyone goes to Thriller, and I'm like, dude, no, bad era MJ would be way better. But still, that is just not... Can we not? Like, I think things being referenced is completely fine, right? Obviously, certain sides of the world are just going to be more emphatically glazed with celebrity personalities, and Japan is obviously big fans of like American huge celebrity personalities too. And we've seen already several of these things done. We literally watched Dante do a full-on Michael Jackson dance getting a brand new weapon. And then we watched Red 13 do a full-on Michael Jackson dance trying to emulate human movement. And it's hilarious because the references are hilarious. It's a funny reference. And that's all it is, right? It's just a funny reference. But at the same time, just straight up being like, boom. It isn't even a character, it's just a person. I think there's a way that this could be handled with a bit of tact and not to be just like, well, let's just throw like everything we have resource-wise into what effectively is the likeness and approval from so many different outlets of just like, how do we get them to look? How do we get them to move? All of this kind of stuff. And it's just like, man, Law exists, okay? Fei Long exists. Jan Li exists, my dude. We already found a way to put Bruce Lee into the majority of games that are fighting games. We found a way to literally stick the dude directly into this shit without it being the dude. We watched this trailer at Evo, and this is like just an example of like how you can kind of handle something. Immediately, I look at this dude, and it's like, oh, this bitch is smooth criminal Michael Jackson, and he fights in Under Night. I'm like, damn, that's actually really cool. And in so many ways, he just feels like the fucking smooth criminal. And I'm like, wow, that clearly was an inspiration that went into this stuff without it just directly being Michael Jackson in so many ways, you know? So I think the way this is handled is actually kind of cool. The problem with it is that you don't bring in, you know, Instagram followers when you do something like this. You don't bring in the huge pantheon of music fame and everything, but you just have a character that is loosely tied and is overall kind of just a reference, right? You have a nice little reference. I think this is the way it should be done. This quote kind of just freaks me out with all these names, and it sounds like he's even joking. But I feel like you don't have to do the real lifer, right? We don't have to full commit to getting every single sequin and thing correct on his glove to make it feel like this is the most authentic MJ in a game. How about we just do an SNK version of Michael Jackson the same way that Balrog was a Capcom version of Mike Tyson, the same way that Fei Long and Forrest Law and Martial Law were like also representative of real lifers in many ways. I think this is a much better middle ground than just committing once again to just putting every single real lifer we can have available. In fact, so many times I've been telling myself that, dude, we need a Jackie Chan character in Virtua Fighter. Like, we need that to happen. Shun-Di is that character. But I'm like, man, what if Shun-Di came back and that bitch died? And what if he's like younger now, you know? What if like we actually have a dude that is like really close to what a Jackie Chan character could be without it being directly Jackie Chan. You know what I mean? I just think this feels much more natural, right? And again, the problem with it is that you're not bringing all of the pedigree and the Instagram followers and all of the things that come with it, right? Which is also a scary thing because that's way more expensive, but it's also a terrifying thing because you bring everything that is their history, if not their future, along with it, right? I much prefer them to be like references. My conclusion is, can we not put Michael Jackson into Fatal Fury Season 3 or 2? Can we not? Can we not put Sylvester Stallone or Bruce Willis or just Jackie Chan straight into it? Can we not? Can we have characters that feel like they belong in the universe and are sort of referential, that feel like they maybe have been there before, but they're clearly like nods, winks, and sort of tongue-in-cheek nods to these things existing in some way? I think that just makes a lot more sense for fighting games in general. Bro, the way they pulled off Jimmy Fallon in KOF 16 is crazy. His head gets big and he laughs at you, and then the characters get embarrassed. Like, it's gonna be sick.